Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about and show you how we can go ahead and configure the conditional access policy as well as the configurations, which is going to uh, enforce the application restrictions. So what it is going to do is that when any user is going to or is using any applications on unmanaged devices, which is not managed by Intune or Entra ID at all, right? So we don't have any control over the device. That means that becomes our unmanaged devices. Now, the question is whether we wanted to enforce these kind of policies or enforce the restrictions when any user is going to access any applications on the unmanaged devices from the security reasons, because anyone can get into the system or that unmanaged devices and try to do unwanted activities, maybe kind of data exfiltration, data copy, data movement, right? Maybe even someone can download the bulk data as well, right? So the data storage are including SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as Exchange Mailbox, right? So those are the three workloads where the data is mostly residing and data movement is happening across, right? And that is why people are tend to forget to sign out, and maybe they are just keep it active, and someone from nearby or within home or anywhere, wherever that person is working from, maybe that person is working from remotely, even that person can be working from holiday or maybe any location. It is not going to be something we as an organization are tracking, right? And definitely we should have a right set of policies to just enforce restrictions on those application levels so that users would automatically be signed out, and we would wanted to keep our data safe and secure, right? So there are two ways to do these configurations. The first way is using the Microsoft 365 portal, where we can simply go to organization settings, and from there we have an option called set up idle session, right? Timeout. And from there we can set it up. So once we set it up, that's going to be configured for whole tenant, right? So all the workloads, including SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange, and everything is going to be automatically enforced to sign out, and then user has to re-authenticate it back, right? So same can be configured using conditional access policy as well. So even conditional access policy has two flavors to do it. One is with the browser persistent session, right? So that's going to be a part of session policy, whether we wanted to enforce the session to be revoked and ask user to re-authenticate after a particular number of hours, maybe 1 hour, 2 hour, or up to 8, 10 hours, whatever it is we wanted to enforce it, and then user has to re-authenticate it. Then next is going to be something we are going to select the respective workload by using conditional access policy, using the conditional access policy with either SharePoint or Exchange Online, right? So those are the options which we can enforce as well, right? So by selecting that on the client applications or browser, where we have options, or one of the way which is use app enforce restrictions policy, and that is also one of the way which we can go ahead and deploy, right? So I'm going to show you both of those, and then that's going to be enforced it, right? So just a minute here. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to show you first 365 admin portal way, right? And then we'll jump on to the Entra ID and then show you the conditional access policies method, right? So let's go ahead. Let me share screen here quickly. All right, so this is the Entra portal. So I'll just close it out. And from here on 365 admin portal, we just need to go to settings and then there is org setting, right? So from here, we have security and privacy, right? So here's the option, which is idle session timeout. So this is the one of the option which we can configure for whole tenant. You can see it is unchecked. That means this is a turned off. And once we check it, here we get option which says, when do you want to sign out? So we can select between 1 hour, 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, and custom in minutes, right? Even if you wanted to put that in minutes, like say I wanted to enforce it on 45 minutes, then I can set that number of minutes over here. And it is going to be simply enforcing that policy for all the workloads across Microsoft 365. And then it is going to sign it out, right? So this is the one of the way. So for now, let's say I wanted to set it for 1 hour. Let's go ahead and save it. And we are done here. So this configuration is done for whole tenant. Now, same configurations we can do with Entra conditional access policy as well. So that's going to be specific to the application, right? So now this policy is going to be, or is going to target whole tenant, right? But the conditional access policy is going to target only two workloads for now or as of now, which includes SharePoint. So SharePoint and OneDrive both are included together, or kind of both are a part of the same infrastructure. So both are following the similar metadata in the backend, right? And others application includes the Exchange Online, right? So even that application is also be part of that policy, as we can enforce that policy on both of those applications or anyone as per our needs, basically, right? So let's go ahead and do that as well. So I'm here on the Entra portal and conditional access policy. So from here, we can simply create a new policy. Let's say, give it a name, CA apps restrictions on idle timeout. So something like that. So it's easy for us to identify, right? So from here, we can select all the users or specific group. It doesn't matter wherever we wanted to enforce, but it's always good practice to enforce for all users. And then definitely there would be some users which are on high roles like VIP users and those kind of people. And we would not want them to give us a frustrated experience to re-authenticate, re-sign in every time, right? And on the target resources, definitely we are going to select only the selective workloads or selective applications, because those are the applications currently supported, which includes SharePoint Online and Exchange Online. So I'm going to select, let's search with SharePoint. Let me search with Cloud Apps. What is it going to show? No, that's a different. Let's search with Exchange Online. That's strange. It is not showing up Let me search with the filters. No, these are the other filters, so we cannot search with. Let me search with Office 365 instead. All right, so here we can see that it is going to come up with Office 365 SharePoint Online and Exchange Online. Even we can target whole Office 365 as well. So by selecting this one, right? But for now, I'm going to select only these two workloads and then add it. So once we add it, then this policy is going to be enforcing, and then we can make sure this is going to work as expected, right? The network, we are not going to add anything. And on the conditions, definitely we can add device platform locations or client applications. It is always good practice to choose modern authentication clients only. And we can enforce any of those, either mobile apps, including desktop clients, and then browser clients as well. And then on the grants, here we can enforce the MFA to get the access back. And then anyone should be good there, right? And on the session side, we have different options, right? So the option which I was talking about is enforced restrictions, right? Because this is using conditional access. So this is one of the way by selecting this option here, which says use app enforce restrictions. What it is going to do is this is going to enforce the idle session policy or idle session timeout on those applications which we have selected here under the target resources. And it's also going to put an timeout on those applications and automatically is going to uh, log out on those applications when users are working on their personal devices. So that is the filter that we are going to put here, right? Under the resources, if device is not managed, then this policy should be automatically kick in, and then user should automatically be signed out if the application is idle for a particular period. Now, there's a question how this feature or capability is going to check and identify whether this application is or this user activity is idle for a particular period, right? So that's the logic behind this capability, or this feature is going to keep checking that activity. And if it finds that it has some of the default period, which is going to be uh, checking up, right? And then it is going to enforce that restrictions, and then it is going to put that user out of the session, right? So let's say it says that app enforce restriction might require additional admin configurations within and will only take effect for new sessions, right? So this is going to be enforced on only new sessions, even if we have existing policy, right? So existing includes the idle session policy, which I showed you from the 365 portal, right? From there, we can select either on custom minutes or the predefined set of hours, right? And that way it is going to be enforced. So for now, let's select on this one. And once we are good here, we should be good to go ahead and create out this policy. But one thing to note here is that when you are going to search or create a policy with this option, and you have also the policy configured from 365 portal over here, it is going to take a precedence of this conditional access policy, and then this policy is going to be enforced on all the active sessions. And majorly, those are the sessions which are new sessions and not the existing sessions. If there is any existing session added, then that session is not going to be part of this one, right? So it is simply not going to consider for idle session or idle timeout, right? And basis on that, it is going to enforce. So from here, we can put device platforms, which devices we wanted to target. So we can select any, and then on the devices side or filters, we can add, we can exclude, let's say, trust type equals to joined plus type equals to hybrid joint. And yeah, that should be it, because we don't want to include or enforce, or not to enforce on registered device, because registered device is something which is the user's own and personal device, right? So we can exclude that, and we don't want this policy to be enforced on it as an included, right? It should be under excluded, right? So that way we can go ahead and mark it so that this policy is going to target those devices, right? All right. So I think there was a disconnection. Let me share the screen again. All right. So this is the one of the way, and I would show you another way, that is under enforce or session here. As I said, if you wanted to enforce the session timeout on a particular period, right? So that can be enforced using the conditional access policy by using sign-in frequency. And then from here, we can set either number of hours. Maybe I wanted to enforce 3 hours. And then we can also enforce the persistence. So persistence comes with all the cloud applications, because it needs all the cloud applications to be selected. Then only this persistence browser session capability is going to work, right? Otherwise, it is not going to work. But at least we can enforce the sign-in frequency, and then we can revoke the active sessions, and then we can enforce the users to re-authenticate again and again, right? So this is that another way as well. So in this video, I talked about 3 different options, including 365 portal, and then 2 options from conditional access using app restricted enforced restrictions, and then sign-in frequency as well, right? So yeah, these are the different options which we can configure and set. And this way we can go ahead and create a conditional access policy. So let's see, the policy is ready. And currently it is set to report only. So I have not turned it on, right? And we can make it, or we can make the changes as per our needs again, right? So yeah, that's all for this video. I wanted to show you and talk about, and let me know your experiences, your thoughts. Have you used this method, or how you have prioritized, whether you have prioritized 365 policies or conditional access policies, and how you are targeting the idle session timeout, right? Be it on managed devices, unmanaged devices, and what are the things that you have done, right? So I'd be happy to answer any questions, and if any doubts or anything that you wanted to clarify, right? So yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel as well, right? Because this is going to be something which is going to give you new videos, as well as a kind of another way for me to come up with the new ideas and videos, right? So yeah, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.